Hi boys and girls, today I want to review with you what it means to have more than one whole with fractions, because I think what's happening in some of your lessons is students are confused by the number of parts, and they're not looking at the number of parts in each whole, they're looking at the number of total parts in the picture. So I want to go through this with you today and see if you can understand what I mean, okay? So first things first, I'm going to show you a fraction up on my board. So I'm going to draw a square, and I would like you to do this on paper with me so that you can really understand and see what we're doing, okay? So I have a square, and in my square, I'm going to break it up into two parts. If I break that square up into two parts, I want you to think, how can I label each one of those parts? What would my unit fraction be? Well, the unit fraction is the value of each piece. If I have one whole, and this is broken up into two pieces, the value of each piece is going to be 1/2. So I'm going to label 1/2 in each piece. So if I said to you, okay, boys and girls, I want to color one of those parts, then our fraction that's shaded would be 1/2. You guys already know that part, though. The part that's starting to confuse some of you is what happens when you have more than one whole. So I'm going to draw a couple more holes that look exactly like this, broken into halves. And I'm going to shade some of those parts and see if you can figure out which fraction matches the picture. So now you can see I have three separate holes, and I'm going to color in 1/2, 2/2, 3/2, 4/2, 5/2. So look what I just did here. Some students would say, oh, you must have colored in 5/6, because they see 6 pieces. But it's not 6 because each whole is not cut into 6 pieces. It's actually still halves because each whole is still cut into 2 halves. It is 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves that are colored in. So you would write it like this: 5 shaded parts at over 2 total parts for each whole. This is the numerator, and this is the denominator. The denominator tells you how many parts each whole has. The numerator tells you how many are shaded. So again, we have 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves. 5 halves are shaded. Now, some kids like to try to turn these into mixed fractions. We actually don't technically have to do that in 3rd grade, but I know some of you are enjoying kind of stretching your thinking. If you would like to do that, that's fine, but it's not expected. Some kids may want to rewrite this as 1 whole, 2 wholes, and 1/2. So some kids would write 2 wholes and 1/2. That's okay too, but really our expectation for you is, can you recognize that this has 5 halves? Okay, I'm going to give you another example, and I'm going to have you try it. Okay, this time I want you to think about what it would look like if you did 6/3. So 6/3, think about what that would look like. Well, first thing you need to say to yourself is, okay, the number shaded is going to be 6. I have nothing to shade yet, so I'm going to look at my bottom number, my denominator, and say thirds. Oh, that means each whole must be cut into 3 equal parts. So I'm going to start it. There's my first whole, and I'm going to cut it into thirds, and I'm going to label thirds, just so I get in the habit of labeling my unit fraction, which is the value of each piece. And I'm going to think, okay, I need to color in 6 of those thirds. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute, I only have 3/3. So you say to yourself, what do I do next? Oh, I have to draw another hole, and I have to cut it in thirds again. So there we go. So we had 3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. That's what 6/3 looks like. Although some kids may say, but that's 6, Mrs. Stephanie, there's 6 pieces. You're right, there are 6 pieces, but there's not 6 pieces in each whole. There's only 3 in each whole. Some kids may look at this and say, wait a minute, 6/3 looks an awful lot like 2 wholes. Guess what? It is 2 wholes. It's the same amount as 2 wholes. So 6/3 equals 2 wholes. Here's a little quick trick to check and see if you're right. If you take the top number and divide it by the bottom number, and you get a whole number, then your picture is wholes. 6 divided by 3 equals 2 wholes. Cool trick, right? I'm going to give you another example. This time, I'm going to draw a picture for you, and I want you to see if you can figure out what fraction matches this picture. Okay? So here's a hole. Here's another hole. Here's another hole. This time I'm going to cut each of my holes into fourths, which means I'm going to label 1/4 in each one of my parts to show my unit fraction, which is the value of each piece. Takes a little time. Hold on a moment. Okay, so there's my picture so far. And now I'm going to do some shading, and I want you to see if you can identify what is shaded. With shading, I just do little lines like this. It's much faster. Okay, I want you to look at that picture. And I want you to try to tell me what is the shaded fraction. I'll give you a moment to figure it out. All right, let's see how you did. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4. So the shaded fraction is 7/4. It's not 12ths, even though there are 4, 8, 12 pieces. They're not 12 pieces for each hole. Each hole is still only fourths. If I said to you, okay, so there's 7/4, which is your shaded fraction. Can you identify what your unit fraction is? Some kids would say 5/4. It's 5/4, Mrs. Cupton. And I'll say, nope, that's the unshaded amount. The unit fraction is what is the value of each piece. Each piece is worth 1/4.